Welcome to Your Mac Life for Wednesday, March 13th, 2019, show number 1207. I'm your host, Shawn King, joined as always by my beautiful wife,
Melissa King.
She's officially a king now. It says so on her passport and driver's license and everything. Yeah. She's mine. You can't have her, Scott.
Oh.
That's an inside joke for those folks who are tuned in early for the chat room. On tonight's show, we're going to talk to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com about Apple announced yesterday, the March 25th will be the Showtime special event. What does that mean? We don't know. Apple is inviting select members of the media to join them on 25th at 10 a.m. You can actually go to Apple's event page and bookmark that and actually put it on your calendar. Apple is rumored to be announcing a new movie and TV streaming service a la Netflix, Hulu, Crave, all that kind of stuff. Also rumored to be announcing Apple News, which is their new subscription service, and a new rumor I read about this morning, possibly the credit card. They are going to partner with Goldman Sachs for an Apple iCard. We'll talk to Jim about that. We'll also talk about Spotify is taking Apple to court in the European Union. We'll talk about that. And it's 10 days before we go to Lisbon. I'm getting more and more excited.
Is it 10?
10 days. Well,
Oops.
you and I.
Oh.
10 days. We leave a week tomorrow.
A week tomorrow, yeah, 8 days, yeah.
Our flight is 7:30 p.m., so we'll leave. I don't know what time we're going to go because we're going straight from the home to the airport.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're not taking a car, parking the car for 10 days at YVR. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about some of the things that we're going to do, what you can expect from us, all those kinds of things on our starting point photography segment of the show. So we all heard this typically weird, stupid stuff from the President of the United States, where last week he called Tim Cook, the Apple CEO, Tim Apple. So some wag on Twitter posted this. It's the listing of Apple's new job titles. There's Tim Apple, CEO, Catherine Lawyer, the Senior Vice President and General Counsel, Angela Storrs, Senior VP of Retail, Eddie Internet, Craig Software, John AI, Jonathan Design, and Luca Money. Funny that this guy would have posted those things up as a Twitter feed. It was very interesting. We watched John Oliver last night, and he's had this kind of funny little take on Trump, how Trump infuriates us, but also makes us laugh too, which is weird. You know, rather than just being, and maybe part of it is we're laughing to keep from crying. You know,
it's macabre.
There's just so much of it that's so much fun. MacMan says, "What's the 13-year-old doing while you're out of the country for a week and a half? What do we care?
Oh, he's fine.
He's 13. He's fine.
He's got a box of cereal.
No. His brother is here. His 21-year-old brother, who will be completely useless. So we're not going to rely on him for anything.
That's not true. He's not
But
completely useless.
his dad is coming in town. His dad lives up in a little town called Smithers, British Columbia. And his dad's going to be in town for that week. And weirdly enough, this is how well this family gets along. He'll be staying here in our house.
We offered it. No, I didn't without your approval. I said, hey, listen, will we let Shawn stay here with the boys and that way he can be with them in their own environment for a while? And Shawn said yes.
Begrudgingly.
Oh. Well, you didn't tell me that.
I'm teasing.
It's fine. It's just a house.
It's just a house. As long as he doesn't sleep in our bed.
He would never.
We're locking this door when we leave.
He would never sleep in our bed.
So yeah, it's a way to adult. Exactly. It's fine. It's okay. It means weirdly enough, the ex's name is Shawn. We've talked about this before. That's why she did it. That's why she only dates guys named Shawn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like the fourth guy in a row.
So not.
So Shawn will be here with Rory and Damon, his sons, which would be fantastic for everyone. They all get to hang out and
take care of our cats.
That's the other thing. Take care of the cats. We don't got to worry about that. Water the plants. The funniest thing is watching the three of them fighting over the cat litter. We may come home to just a box of cat litter full of poop because none of them will clean it out.
No.
Could happen. I
Possibly.
guarantee we'll come home to an empty fridge.
Probably.
They will eat everything in the fridge.
They will.
Before they buy anything else.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's.
But we'll be in Portugal for 10 days, so who cares?
Who cares? Then there was the other story I thought was kind of funny today. So the U.S. government, along with several other governments, have decided to what's the word I'm looking for? Stop the flying of Boeing 737 MAX airlines. Can you imagine if you got on a flight first thing this morning and in the U.S., you're a businessman, you get on an 8 o'clock flight out of LaGuardia on a Boeing 737 MAX, you're probably already kind of scared. And then because we have internet on planes now, as you're flying along, you read on your Twitter feed, the U.S. government has banned the flying of Boeing. The plane you're on? That'd kind of freak you out, wouldn't it? Mm-hmm. It kind of just make you go, yeah, land it now.
Especially if you're a nervous flyer to begin with.
Hello,
Mm-hmm.
hello. Actually, I was reticent to do it, but I did it yesterday. I did check our tickets.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
To make sure we weren't flying on one of those planes. Luckily, we're on 777s for Air Canada to London and an Airbus from London to Lisbon. So,
an Airbus.
Although
an Airbus,
I will yell at Air Canada. Air Canada is charging us $37 a seat for each, $37 for each of us, for each leg of our trip to choose our own seats on the flight. Now, we all remember the good old days when you could not pay for a seat, that you would just go and get a seat assigned to you and they would go, oh, you're together. We will seat you together. And then when it became automated, they saw that there's two names on the same ticket. We'll seat the people together. There's no guarantee of that nowadays.
No, it's terrible.
So frustrating. So yeah, it cost us $150 just so we could make sure we were sitting. That's not even emergency row seating. That's $100 a piece. And while I'd pay it for me, I ain't paying it for me. It's tiny. Emergency row should only go to people who are big enough to take up the space.
I'm
me
strong.
And Scott,
I could help people.
Doesn't matter. You're short. Me and Scott Thrift should be the only two people allowed in emergency row. Just big guys. That's all you want. You want a guy there who's big enough to rip that door off the hinges. The other thing is, and the problem is the airlines don't realize this, I'm the last person in the world you want in the back of the plane panicking. Because I will kill people to get to the emergency row.
You'll be like George Costanza. You'll knock everybody down to get off the plane.
Absolutely. And I'm a hell of a lot bigger than George Costanza.
He will. I've seen him knock people down.
Trample people to death to get off that plane. I'm sorry. I'll be like, Grandma, you've lived long enough. Get out of the way. Yeah, you don't want me in the back of the plane panicking. It's just not gonna be a good look for anybody. You can be there going, oh, Shawn, calm down. I love you. Get off me, woman. Save yourself. I'll meet you at the bottom of the slide.
Thanks, Shawn.
I'm telling you, I will utterly and absolutely panic.
Well,
I hate flying.
Everybody will panic.
But I'm big enough to cause my own additional panic. Like who is hitting me? There'll be a guy in row A32 going, who is beating me in the head? Why is this big guy stomping on me?
You're supposed to sit there and be calm and just breathe your oxygen.
I always love that line where they say, the bag will not inflate, just breathe normally. Breathe normally?
You're going to breathe a bit harder and faster.
The plane is going down. There is no chance I'm breathing normally. Okay? Zero, none. I'll be hyperventilating.
I'm just going to take something to give you an injection or something. Put us all out of our misery.
I'll have two of those bags. One for each side of it.
You'll take mine.
I'll take the bag off and just suck on the two. No, you just don't want that to happen. Have you ever had that happen? Have you ever had the things fall down?
No.
I did once.
Yeah.
And I peed myself. I'm not too proud to admit it.
Oh my God.
Did. It wasn't. It was like a malfunction. The pilot came on right away because everyone went because we were flying smoothly. There was no problem. Suddenly it was like someone pushed the wrong button. You know.
That's funny.
Surprised me to hear over the intercom. Oops. Just put those away, folks. You know? But we were
False alarm!
we were psych. April Fools. See, that's the kind of dick I'd be if I was an airline pilot.
You would not.
You wouldn't let me fly on April 1st.
No, Shawn King on shift? No. Shawn can't be on shift.
Because I'd be like, just nose straight down.
Yeah,
April Fools!
Nasty man.
Everybody vomiting and weightless and shit, you know. Yeah, I'm the last guy in the world you want those situations. So where the hell were we going with that?
Scott said they dropped on a Qantas flight last week, the bags.
It was in Sherry, Air Canada overcharging. I'm shocked. Everyone overcharges. Everyone charges for these little nickel and dime things that by law shouldn't be allowed. Emergency row is in case of emergency. Those three people should be able to assist other passengers. You shouldn't charge people for emergency row. Back in the day, they didn't even assign those seats until people checked in, so that the person at the check-in counter could go, yeah, you're a suitable person for emergency row. And it should be someone who's big and strong. Sorry for small, tiny people. But you want someone who's big enough to tear that door off even against pressure.
And save himself.
You want the big genes to get passed on. Mm-hmm. You know, you want the big gene pool to get passed on.
Why?
Because you want big people.
Why?
Because big people are better than little people.
That is such a stupid reason. And how are big people better than little people? You sizist? By
the very nature of being big.
No.
Yes.
No, it depends where you live. What if you live in a rainforest and you need to run under low branches?
What?
Never mind.
Folks, later on the show, we're going to talk more about our trip to Lisbon coming up in 10 days. But after this break, we're going to talk to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com about Apple's announcements coming up on March 25th. All that and much more coming up. This is Your Mac Life. Welcome back, folks. This is Your Mac Life. I am Shawn King, joined our phone, as always, by our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. Jim, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I just serenaded you with Highway to Hell.
You did, and not bad either, all things considered.
Well, considering it's me.
Yeah, and you've been drinking since noon, so.
Yesterday.
Yesterday, that's right. Now, the big story over the past week, and this is, I really want to get your take on this, is, first of all, personal question. How much did your parents pay to get you into college?
Well, let's see.
They bribed Dalhousie?
I went to St. Thomas at UMB.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yep.
You couldn't get into Dalhousie. That's such a shame.
I could not. Yeah.
I got into Dalhousie and Simon Fraser SMU because they threw me out of Dow.
Well, I later on, for people that don't know, Dow and St. Mary's or SMU are two of the best schools in the whole country.
Yeah, true. Yep.
I could not get into either of them, although later on, I did go to St. Mary's for business, and just like a class while I was working.
Yeah.
So
good schools. That's just an all-around weird, funny, but completely expected story, isn't it? The fact that people are bribing school admission officials to get into these schools. This is a known secret. It has been for years, isn't it?
People were all up in arms, and I'm thinking, well, yeah. I mean, they've got money. Of course, they're going to use it to get their kids into the schools they want.
Yep. Yeah, you should not be surprised by this. And they did.
No, you should not be surprised by this. I mean, there's so many things that you should not be surprised by, that people are. Guess what? Record companies, the contracts that they got bands to sign, not good for the bands.
That's right.
Surprise! Just in case you didn't know. Surprise! Wow.
Bet you didn't see that coming, did you?
Yeah. So, this was, to me, I mean, you didn't expect to see poor folk like me on the list.
Yep.
You expected to see the rich people on the list, and that's exactly what you saw.
What happened?
I mean, it's and you know what? I believe that is just the tip of the iceberg. This is just one guy.
Yep.
There is lots of other people that are doing the same sort of thing. They're going underground right now, but they were doing the same sort of thing. So.
In every school, I'd be willing to bet there's similar situations to this. We all know of a rumor or a kid that we knew in college who you thought the guy should not be here, but you found out his dad was rich or something. Oh yeah, you're the kid whose his name's on the library, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, as of last year.
Exactly, that's right.
That's funny.
That's weird. Didn't see that coming. Yeah. Let's move on and talk about the announcement. Apple has announced that on March 25th at 10 a.m., it's showtime. Typical of Apple's announcements. These are cute little teasers, but there have been enough rumors for us to say a few things. For sure, Apple is probably going to be announcing a movie and TV streaming service. Do you think Apple has to do this or Apple wants to do this?
No, I really think that Apple needs to, I think that they need to explain to people what their service is and what it's about. And that to me will be the focus of what the event is going to be. It's not, the fact that Apple's going to have a video service, we all know that, but it's all the details that are in there that we don't know. And that's going to be the big thing. Now, we've heard that, a lot of stars, including Jennifer Garner. Did I mention Jennifer Garner?
Down boy.
Oof. Are going to be, there's some other, like be people too, or whatever. But Jennifer Garner will be there. These people have been invited. So it seems clear. I mean, they're not going to invite them for a news subscription service. They're inviting them for the video service. And we've known that Apple has been working on this for a long time. And this is where we get to see what they've been working on and how they're going to present it.
Yes.
And how much they're going to charge us and how it compares to everything else that's on the market right now. So this is it.
This is what they're doing, is what they've been planning on doing for a while. They've made a bunch of deals. The latest was, I thought, a really interesting one that the guy who directed Thor Ragnarok, which was one of my favorite Marvel comic movies, is writing and directing a TV series based on the 1981 movie Time Bandits, which was a wonderfully weird Terry Gilliam film from the 80s. If you haven't had a chance to watch it, watch it. It's a fun movie. So Apple's doing this. Apple is getting in there, and they're buying up content. They're creating content, not as much as Netflix has done, but this is going to be the beginning for Apple. Do you think there's going to be enough content, though, to attract people, say, like myself and Melissa, who already have Netflix, who are paying $14 a month for Netflix? Apple's going to have to try to find some way to pry that $14 out of Netflix's hand and into theirs. I don't think they're going to be able to do that for folks like us.
See, I mean, let's remember that Netflix didn't have any original content starting off, and Hulu and, all of Amazon, but they built up to that.
Yep.
I think Apple will actually start stronger, and my reservations about Apple content aside here, I think Apple is going to start off stronger than what a lot of those ones did. So in one respect, you're right, but in another respect, Apple already has your eyes and your dollars, right? So depending on how they structure this, it could be like a no-brainer for you because, for instance, this director that you really like, you could go in there and say, wow, this is really good. Yeah, take my money. I want to watch this. So a lot, and that's what the details of this whole session or event in a couple of weeks is all about, to detail to us what they have coming. I mean, let's face it, Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon didn't start off with all the shows that they have now. They worked up to them.
Yeah.
So what shows does Apple have that they've been giving us, that they're going to give us on day one or whenever it's actually released, that we can say, wow, this is really great, or I don't like that one. And then, like the others, they dump it and make something new.
Yeah. Apple also has the advantage of bundling, too. And they're going to be able to...
Well, that's exactly right.
I don't know they're going to do this. I haven't heard any rumors along these lines, but I can see Apple bundling this when you buy a new Apple TV, or if you're an Apple Music subscriber, you get a discount, or vice versa. You get the streaming subscription service of all of Apple's products. So you'll get TV, movie, and music with one price. And so Apple's got that advantage over Netflix and the others. Plus, in theory, it's going to be a more pleasant experience from the point of view of watching it on your Apple TV, on your Mac, on your iOS devices. Apple's got that advantage, certainly. And like you said, they do have a ecosystem and a huge group of present customers who have already shown a willingness to give Apple X numbers of dollars. Will Apple extend this to the subscription service, which I think is pretty much a given? I think they're going to offer bundling. You buy a new iPhone, you get a year's free, whatever it might be. Again, things that Hulu and Netflix can't offer.
See, the thing about streaming, and if you look at all of the services that are available, and you say, well, I really like Netflix, and I'm going to get Netflix, and most of us have had Netflix for years.
Yeah.
Okay, I really like that. I'm going to get that. Well, that's a separate payment. And okay, I can deal with that. $10 a month or
Yep.
whatever. Well, now I want Hulu because they have, Jack Ryan,
Yep.
which was a fabulous show, by the way. So I need that. Well, that's another payment,
Yep.
and that's a separate thing. But when you look at Apple can bundle this in such a way where it doesn't seem like such a payment. And, perception is reality.
Yep.
So if Apple bundles it in such a way that it's not another payment, it's just a slight increase in the payment you have, you may say, yeah, fine. It's another whatever, few dollars a month. I'll just do that because I'm already paying for a family account. Yep. And, I'm into them for, all of this other money that I'm paying them. Okay, I'll do that. And that would be the really, that's going to be, I think, tell a lot in what comes out of this, is if they can get people to do that. And I think they probably can.
My biggest concern is the rumors that we've heard that Apple has, it was very funny, I think about a week and a half ago, there was a story that Apple was annoying the Hollywood types because they were offering up notes on products and don't be mean. Supposedly Tim Cook said, that is not a surprise. That was not news to anybody in Hollywood, to any creatives. You always get notes from the guy, I don't know, who's paying for the product. So
Right.
That's not it. What concerns me is that it seems like Apple doesn't want to offend anybody, and all of its content will be at the very least PG-13 and probably all G-rated. You and I have talked about this before. It doesn't sound like Apple, if it was around at the time, would have bought Game of Thrones, one of the most successful TV shows, at least from a perception point of view, a marketing point of view, that we've seen in a very, very long time. Apple doesn't seem to want to step into that possible quagmire of R-rated content.
Or Breaking Bad, or
Sopranos, or the other
Sopranos is the other one I
Yep.
was thinking about. And that point is what is yet to be seen. And that is something we've talked about over and over again over the past year or so when, Apple's whole content thing came up. That is the point right there. Can Apple get away because of its reputation as not being wholesome, but being a good family company?
Yeah.
Can they get away with putting out a little bit of extra that they may feel uncomfortable with?
Yep.
I think that they can. Whether they will or not, that's where things are going to start to come up. I mean, that last Jennifer Garner movie, did I mention Jennifer Garner was going to be there?
I had no idea you had such the hots for her, dude. That's kind of funny.
Forever.
Yeah, see,
forever.
So
the latest movie that she did was spectacular.
What was it?
Peppermint.
I haven't seen it yet. I've heard of it.
Yeah, I watch it every night. So. Yep. So that Jennifer Garner movie was spectacular. Is that something that Apple would make? Well, it was, there was some violence in it, and there was, all kinds of other things.
Yep.
So, I mean, I thought it was a great movie. I went for my birthday. Seriously, I did. I went for my birthday to see that movie. And she looked at me from the screen. She was looking right at me. So
you have an active fantasy life. I had no idea.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you.
But I think that is a legitimate concern, at least for business people, if not Apple itself. The fact that I personally don't want a G-rated streaming service. I want stuff that's good both for my 13-year-old to watch by himself, for me and him to watch, and for me and my wife to watch, where we have to turn it off and the 13-year-old walks in the room,
Right.
I don't want just that one-size-fits-all kind of package. And if that's all Apple is offering, G-rated or even PG-rated content, I wouldn't pay for the service, and I got to believe a lot of other people wouldn't either.
Well, and this is what we've talked about. How is it that Apple is going to attract the people that would pay for HBO or any of the other services that we've talked about? Showtime is another one.
Yep.
They've hit some great shows. How is Apple going to attract those people? Or are they going to ignore those people?
Yeah.
And say, we've got some great, NBC type shows, or, whatever the major network is, pick your favorite. We've got some shows like that, like, the new one, what is it, Public Enemy or something, which is a very good show. But, maybe they're going that route. I don't know. And again, that's what we're going to see.
I think a lot of people are going to want the service provider that offers them the widest, broadest range of services. We don't want to have to hunt and peck all over the place to find out this show we want to watch. Oh, it's on Hulu, or it's not on Hulu, it's on Amazon Prime, or it's all over the place. That's one of the frustrations I have.
You're exactly right. And, when I look at Hulu, and I mentioned earlier Jack Ryan, that was a fabulous show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hulu did an amazing job with that show. I really enjoyed it. And Netflix has its own. Amazon Prime has its own. So, there are a lot of great shows out there to be watched outside of the whole cable industry, and the 4 or 5 major networks. So can Apple be part of that? Well, we'll see, but they certainly have the money to be part of it. But do they have the will? I guess is what it is. I think that they do.
Next up in the rumor mill is the idea that Apple will also announce, along with this video streaming service, a news subscription service. They're going to fold the recently bought Texture app, that app where you could, for $10 a month, you could read hundreds of different magazines, Time and Newsweek and Maclean's and Cosmopolitan and all kinds of stuff for one low fee. I don't know that Apple is going to focus on that so much as the subscriptions they're talking about for the Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, your local newspaper, New York Times, that kind of stuff. Does that have, because we are who we are, we're news guys, does that have more interest to you than another streaming music service or streaming movie service?
Honestly, I don't know about that, because I use those for different things. When I look at Netflix or Hulu or Amazon, I look at those to get away from the news and the work.
Yep.
So, but when you get into work mode, I have subscriptions to the Times and the Journal, and so can I go to Apple and get all of that for a lower price? Maybe.
Yeah.
And if those are in there, well, then, I'll cancel those and go to the other, because it's going to save me money. So it's all in the details. So if those details are good for me as a consumer, then, I'll do that. Even if I pay, $10 a month or whatever it's going to be, and it means that I have access to stuff that I don't read, but it's cheaper than getting the subscription separately. Yeah.
I think the issue with this in particular that I find really interesting is the interface. The interface for movies is going to be the same. You push play, watch the movie for 2 hours, you push stop. But when it comes to magazines and newspapers and weeklies and all that kind of stuff, every magazine has their own layout. One of the frustrations I had with the Texture app was the fact that every single magazine seemed to have a different user interface. You got back to the table of contents differently in Sports Illustrated than you did in Time. You swiped up in Wired, but you swiped back and forth on Maclean's. That's going to be a problem for Apple if they allow as Texture did, allow the magazines to do their own user interface. But will Apple be able to force these magazine publishers, these newspaper publishers, into Apple's user interface segment. I don't know if they can do that because these people are already strapped for money to begin with, and Apple might say to them, hey, you're going to spend another $10,000, $15,000 a month to reformat your magazine for our new subscription app.
So the interesting thing here is that Apple does have more power than what Texture had.
Sure.
But Apple also, if you look at Apple TV, Apple opened up Apple TV to allow developers, even on the major networks and all of the apps on there, to do things in a different way. So maybe they'll let them continue what they believe is the best thing for their magazine, because they do that on Apple TV already. They allow people, you're using the APIs that we want.
Yeah.
And, you came up with a great new design. That's great. And another way to look at this is in Apple News. If you look at CBC and Apple News, it's different than a lot of the other types of formats that are out there. It looks a lot like their website, CBC, if you search for that on Apple News.
Yeah.
So, Apple could be giving them some leeway here.
There's going to be some interesting challenges that come along with this. The third thing up that Bloomberg, it was the only one I saw reporting this, was that because Apple is inviting folks from the payment industry, journalists from the payment industry, they say that Apple will also be releasing or announcing the new Goldman Sachs-backed Apple credit card. Do you think there's a grain of truth in that particular rumor?
That could happen.
It doesn't feel right for this thing, does it?
No, I mean, what you have to remember about Apple events going back years is that they're all very focused.
Yep.
They're not all over the place like some of the other company events that you see where they announce, like 5 or 6 different products,
Yep.
but from 5 or 6 different categories. And they're just, you're trying at the end to figure out what the hell just happened.
That's right.
With Apple, you have a services event, which this one could be classified as, or an iPhone event, or an iPad event. So they're very focused in what they do. So I would suggest that this one is more of a services event. This is going to be video and magazines and stuff like that.
I also can't see Apple, as some of the rumors are saying, Apple's going to announce the new AirPod 2 at this event. Apple's going to finally release the AirPower charging mat. People are, unfortunately, our friend Mosquito is delusional in thinking that they'll announce the new Mac Pro at this event. I will go out on a fairly strong limb and say there won't be any hardware announced at this event. Do you think there would be?
So the only types of things that I could see at this event that would be announced would be the AirPods and the AirPower. That's
Really?
it. Yeah. And
Interesting.
that's it. If there was any hardware at all, which I'm kind of thinking no, but if there was anything at all, it would be those two.
No.
Because they're kind of standalone accessories. There will be no Mac Pro. WWDC is a much better place for Mac Pro. There'll be the iPad updates are kind of they're not the biggest updates, so there's no sense in diluting their message of this with that. So the only thing that I could even fathom being released is an AirPod or the AirPower. Other than that, nothing.
MacMan says maybe an Apple TV update.
Well, I get that would make sense.
I think
absolutely.
software wise, yes. Hardware wise, probably not.
Well, the software update is already out in developer
Yep.
release. So yeah, software. But I don't know what else they could come out with right now that they would need hardware wise to make the Apple TV better
Yep.
for what they're announcing. So if you focus on what the services, movie and news and what they're announcing, all of that stuff can be offered up to consumers in software updates. So if there's something hardware that they actually needed, yes, then count that in. But I can't think of anything, including Apple TV, that would actually need a hardware update. And I'm saying AirPods and AirPower only because those are accessories and could be like a one more thing
Yeah.
type of thing. Oh, guess what? You know, AirPods have been hugely successful, and we've got a new update for you. And this is, and the AirPower is here. You know, that's to me, those are accessory items. They could come now. They could come at WDC. I mean, it doesn't really matter.
The other thing that I thought was interesting, and I think we're all assuming too much, there is an indication that whatever Apple announces on March 25th won't be available until this coming late summer, early fall. We heard from Bloomberg again that Apple is scrambling to try to get HBO on board for the announcement on Tuesday. But that doesn't mean that on Wednesday we're going to immediately be able to start downloading and watching videos on our new Apple TV streaming service. Do you think that's a likely thing to happen? This won't be available until the fall?
Release dates are, I mean, the only time we actually know release dates are, I think, around iPhone events. You know, it's going to be 2 weeks to 30 days out. I always plan on that.
Yeah.
Every 2 weeks to 30 days. The rest of it, we have no idea. So will they bring together all of these people and say, in the summer, we're going to launch this event, and then, you know, redo some of that during WDC keynote shortly and say, yes, it's available? Sure. I mean, that's no problem with that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see when this is available. I don't think there'll be any problem with Apple announcing this in March and then actually showing up in the fall. It would be after the fall TV season announcements. Not that any new shows would be on the Apple TV right away. It's just the logical extension of it. Plus, it gives Apple the entire summer to sign people up and then be able to go to those folks those companies who are reticent to join the subscription service, like perhaps HBO, and say, look, we just signed up 1 million people over the summer. You want to get involved in this. So remember, when iTunes first started doing streaming music, I think it was Universal was the largest company that wasn't on the iTunes store at launch, and that seemed to turn out well eventually for Apple. So they'll go ahead with this, even if they don't have HBO.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's there's a slight difference only because of history, and people have seen how Apple has taken over those industries. So yeah, but generally, I agree.
I saw this
it's going to be interesting.
I saw this really interesting story on the New York Times. Are you an Amazon or an Apple family? Did you read this piece?
Yeah.
Is that
funny?
Do you think that's actually going to be a concern, say, in 10 years, where we're going to have to pay attention to who builds the ecosystem of our light bulbs, of our refrigerator? Because these companies are going to want to keep us in their walled garden, in Apple's or Amazon's or Google's. There is a real concern now and certainly going forward that if you buy one or two devices from one of these companies, every other device that you buy after is going to have to be from that same company's ecosystem.
Well, in 10 years, we'll be watching TV from a chip in our forehead. So, you know, I think that looking out that far for the average consumer, and I really don't think the average consumer looks out that far. I think they look out maybe 6 months to what they need. maybe everything then will be open.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, 10 years. Look where we were 10 years ago.
True.
It's just for most humans, it's not even fathomable to think about 10 years out. Those are only special people.
Today, or this week, is the 30th, speaking of 10 years out, the 30th anniversary of the World Wide Web, put together, invented by Tim Berners-Lee 30 years ago.
Oh, wait.
What? What?
By who?
Tim Berners. Am I saying his name wrong? Is it Tim?
I thought it was Al Gore.
No, stop it. That was the internet. Gore invented the internet. Get it right. Were you part of the internet back then? I mean, I'm sad to admit that I'm old enough to remember Mosaic, the very first browser that was available, and remembering Archie and Jughead and Gopher and all those apps that we used to tunnel into other servers. And then when someone said, hey, try this Mosaic thing, it was like, blew my frickin' mind. It was really cool to get this fire hose information on your screen where you can just click on this stuff and read it. It was just mind-boggling.
I remember the day that I first saw Mosaic and thought, what the hell is going on?
What is this?
What is this? And that's when, before that you had news groups and you had all of this other stuff that was going on. So I remember all that well. I probably shouldn't tell your young audience that because they think I'm like 25. But that seriously, that was a day to the first time that you saw Mosaic to say, wow, this is like, it's right in front of me. It's here. It was incredible.
It's one of those things that we can say, we can definitely point to and say, this was the day, the week, the year, whatever it is, that the world changed. It literally did. The ability to do what we could do with Mosaic and the World Wide Web, it didn't open it up to everybody. It opened up to more people. Before, only the true hardcore nerds could use Gopher and Anarchy and all those other kind of tools. But this was the first tool you could give to almost the average person and say, you can now access this internet stuff, information. I remember doing sessions at my job. I worked for Hughes Aircraft at the time, and doing sessions at the job showing the engineers how they could look up the papers that they were talking about, they were writing about. We were building an air traffic control system for the government of Switzerland. And they were trying to get access to this information that was being mailed to us. You knew the
You didn't happen to work on the 737 Max.
Stop it.
Okay.
And showing these guys that if they would just call up their government opposite in Switzerland and have them put it on these things called servers, you could read them from here in Vancouver. They were like, what witchcraft is this?
It's true.
It was really
true.
Wild. And now I'd kill to go back to
Nobody
Mosaic.
had a website. Nobody had a website.
Oh God,
I know.
No.
You know my favorite browser of all time?
What?
Netscape 2.02.
Why 202?
Because 2 sucked. It was crashing all the time.
Okay.
On like Mac OS 8 or 7.
7, most likely.
But Netscape 2.02 was so fast.
Yeah.
It was just unreal. It was so fast. You couldn't ask for anything faster than that. And then Netscape went in, they put calendar and they put everything else in there and they bulked it all up, and then it sucked from then on. But Netscape 2.02 was just the fastest web browser you could ever want in the world.
And nowadays, I'd love to go back to that, just because now the internet is just, at least browsing the internet on the vast majority of websites is a battle against advertising and marketing on a regular basis.
Well, you're downloading, megabytes of of data just for ads.
Yep.
So
JavaScript and all that kind of crap. It's awfully
Yeah.
frustrating nowadays when especially for us old timers, when we can remember how relatively simple things were. They were slow as hell, but they were relatively simple with very little advertising. It was a fascinating time, and as I've been reading about this stuff over the last week, thinking about me sitting there in my cubicle. And I would sit in my cubicle at my job till 9, 10 o'clock at night. The last bus that left the area where I worked was at 10:30, and I sometimes would be sitting there until 10:27, just surfing this internet thing and reading and downloading and printing because it was just so fascinating. There was so much information I could grab out of this fire hose.
The internet's a fad. I mean,
That's right.
it'll go away.
It'll go away soon.
Trust me, young man.
Speaking of going away, we're going to let Jim go away now. Folks, Jim Dalrymple from The Loop at loopinsight.com. He has his own podcast called The Dalrymple Report. He and Dave Mark do that. It's up on the iTunes store. Do a search for Jim Dalrymple, and we'll come up. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks a lot, Shawn.
Talk to you next week. See you, buddy.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah, it's kind of amazing when you think about what we could do back then, which then, even maybe now, but certainly then seemed like magic. You know, the idea that you could click on this link and that was associated with a computer that was somewhere else, that wasn't within arm's reach of you, and this information was put up there by somebody else that you could then read. It was kind of mind-boggling. I played this for the 13-year-old a little while ago. Let's see if you guys can recognize this noise. It's not playing, is it? Damn it! That was gonna be such a good. Okay, hang on. Let's see if I can't find this way. I can beat technology. I worked in rehearsal this afternoon, of course it did. When I was testing it out this afternoon, it worked just fine because that's the way the world works. Let's try it to Farajo. We'll play it for you guys. Here we go. Okay, now you should be able to hear this. Monty is the head nerd. He says, that's a 33.6 kilobyte per second connection being negotiated. I used to be enough of a nerd that I knew what those sounds meant. I used to edit the modem init code, the strings to make it go faster or do things differently. That's how much of a nerd I used to be. But that was how we connected. For you young folks out there, this is the sound that you heard. You used the phone line, a landline, not your cell phone. You used a landline to do this stuff, and you, if you were lucky enough, you had a modem that you plugged in your telephone cable to, and it went off into the wall. And God forbid someone in the house lifted the phone up to make a phone call. It's like, no! Because whatever you're doing got cut off. That picture you've been waiting for 2 minutes to come download was cut off. But yeah, that was the sound of the internet back up until, I'd say for the vast majority of people, I think that was the sound of the internet up until, 10 years ago? It is still for some people, but my mom in Nova Scotia is still on 56K because they don't have, they live out in the boonies, the wilds of Nova Scotia. They don't have high-speed internet access. So she checks the internet once a day to get email. That's all she ever does. She doesn't do anything else. She can't. So I think certainly in the Western society, that sound is no longer recognizable by the vast majority of people because most of us have high-speed internet access. We don't have to worry about those kinds of things. But it's a cliche, but it was certainly a simpler time. But at times I do miss it just because of that simplicity of not having to worry about all the things that we have to worry about nowadays when it comes to our browser or downloading and all that kind of. After this break, we're going to come back and talk about our trip to Lisbon, our 10 days. As of tomorrow, it'll be 10 days before we go to Lisbon. And we're very, very excited, and we're going to talk about it right after this break. This is Your Mac Life. Welcome back, folks. This is Your Mac Life. This is the starting point for Dogby segment of Your Mac Life. Thank you guys for joining us. I just wanted to say that in 10 days, starting today, a week tomorrow, Melissa and I will be headed to Lisbon, Portugal. Beautiful, sunny Lisbon, Portugal, where the predicted temperature will be 19 degrees Celsius, 8 degrees Fahrenheit. Much warmer than it is here. It's in the 40s here in Gibsons. We're going to go from Vancouver to Heathrow Airport. Unfortunately, I say Heathrow Airport, not London, because we're not going to have any time to spend in London.
No.
Would you have if you were going? You used to live in London. How long did you live in London?
I lived in London for 8 months or something like that. I don't know if I'd...
I was there for a week for a convention and enjoyed it. Didn't get to see all the sites because when you're at a convention, you don't get to travel nearly as much as you'd want to. I'd go back, but it's not a huge draw for me.
No, I mean, what would you want to see in London? What?
The lineup for the Crown Jewels was too long. We went to the Tower. We saw the Ravens. I talked to a beefeater, which was a big deal for me. I loved talking to the beefeater. Walked across the.
He talked to you? They're
Tower.
not supposed to talk to you.
No. You're talking about the guys with the hats.
Oh.
I'm talking about the guys at the Tower of London with the funny little dresses, tiny square hats.
I don't think he's a beefeater.
Someone send Melissa a picture in IRC of what a beefeater is,
Well,
so I can move on with my life. You're talking.
I can look it up. I know how to Google, you know.
You're talking with the palace guard, the guy with the giant bearskin hats who are on guard. They're not allowed to talk. The beefeaters are actually the tour guide at the Tower of London.
Okay.
Another conversation derailed.
Keep going.
Let's see, what else would I want to do?
Wouldn't you want to just go to a pub and
Oh, I went
drink beer
I
in
went
London?
to several. I went to the pub that Winston Churchill broadcast war messages from.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so there. I've been to pubs. Went to the Sherlock Holmes pub.
God, you should hear him talk about New York City. Go on. It's like he's the only person that's ever been anywhere near there in the whole of the human history of humankind.
The other thing I'd like to do, not in London but near London, is go to Greenwich, so I can stand on the Prime Meridian.
Okay.
Do you know what that is?
Yes, I'll wait at the pub while you go do that.
What's the Prime Meridian?
He is totally a nerd.
I'm nerd adjacent. Okay, I'm not actually a nerd. I'm nerd adjacent.
No, sweetheart, you're a nerd.
No, I'm not.
Anyways, something to do with, okay, it's to do with time. I used to know. Okay, so explain it because I know you want to. Tell us about the Greenwich Meridian.
It's not Greenwich. It's the Prime Meridian in Greenwich.
Okay, so
The
but
Prime
people
Meridian-
say Greenwich Meridian time.
GMT. Yeah.
Yes.
The Prime Meridian is the imaginary line that goes around, the equator,
Yes.
cuts the Earth into two halves, north and south. The Prime Meridian cuts the Earth into hemispheres, east and west.
Mm-hmm.
So you can stand in both the eastern and western hemisphere. I think it's kind of cool.
Okay.
Oh, talk about sucking the fun of that. Jeez. Yeah, the actual meridian is 100 feet away. Kind of ruins it for me. What is wrong with you people?
Well, you have to be brought down to reality.
Why?
You think you're going to stand there and go, I am in the right east, west hemispheres of the earth. But no, it'll be way over there. You have to say that my wife was in the eastern hemisphere and I was in the western hemisphere.
That's
Sorry.
not the same. God damn it. So yeah, there's nothing specific in London. As much of a history buff as I am, there's nothing specific in London that would raise it up on the low level of the bucket list for me. So I'm okay with the fact we've got, I think it's a 2-hour layover in London.
No, that's not enough.
That's fine. That's not a problem. And then from London, we're going to Lisbon. From there, we'll be in Lisbon by about 4:20 in the afternoon. Probably get to the hotel around 6, and that's when the fun starts. 6 p.m. Lisbon time, which will be 11 p.m. Pacific time. Do the math for other places. The first thing we're going to do is the same thing I do for almost every place that I visit. And I do it for a couple of reasons. One is just to get I'll leave the hotel and I'll make a left or a right, depending on which, and keep doing that until I come back to the hotel. If I went left, I'll keep making lefts till I come back to the or right, I'll keep making right. Just to go sort of get a sense of where I am in the city. Oh yeah, on this corner I can see this, on this corner I can see this. Partially because I just want to get a general sense of where I am, but also because I get lost easily. And I get confused quickly. See, my problem is, for example, when I was living down south, I knew that I made a right at that Waffle House. The problem is, do you go someplace else?
Mm-hmm.
Every Waffle House I thought, if I make a right there, will I get home? Even though I'd be in a different state.
Oh, the
my
Waffle
brain-
House was your cue
Yeah.
that you should turn left.
I should turn in that direction. So I'm
Mm.
useless when it comes to directions. So that'll help me. Plus, I just want to know what's within walking distance, whether there's a pub or a coffee shop or a bakery or that kind of stuff. That's what we're going to do first thing when we get there. Just walk around and get a sense of the area. Then we're going to walk down to, hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be able to do this. Walk down to the very large public square that is near us, our hotel. I think it's called the Camerco. I want to say, I know I'm saying it wrong, but it's a big, if you've ever seen pictures of Lisbon, it's a big, beautiful, one of the many big, beautiful squares they have in the city with a large statue in the center of it. And at one end of it is this really cool looking arch that I've already got the mental picture of this arch that I want to get a picture of with Melissa under the arch. It's also that the street that the arch is on is a big shopping district. It's sort of like a fun place to walk around in the city to get to buy stuff. So I'm looking forward to doing that.
I think we should go and get a custard tart.
Would you be in the mood for custard tart that
Oh,
late
yeah.
in the evening?
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna be able to find a custard tart. I'm just seeing pictures of this square tab. So I'm gonna block Melissa's face. Apologies as always for doing that. It's a pretty face. That is the square. That's the leading into from this point of view. You're walking towards that arch. That small figure that you see off in the distance is a statue in the center of the square, and then on the right-hand side there is the river
Tagus. The Tagus River.
Tagus
Yeah.
River, and you actually walk this. There's no beach, but it looks like a boat ramp.
Well,
doesn't
there's
it?
kind of a beach there. It does look like a boat ramp, actually.
It
You
would-
can
sorry.
go down.
When I say beach, I'm thinking of a place to swim.
Oh,
It doesn't
Yeah, I
seem
don't know if
like
I'd swim there.
that kind. So that's going to be our day, our first day in Lisbon, which I think sounds like a good plan.
Sounds like a good plan, all right.
Getting up, very early on Saturday morning, we have renting a car, a little Mini Cooper, and we're renting the car from. I'm not going to believe that this is true until we actually go and do it. This company, Easy Rent Cars, has. I just wait for the website to finish doing what it's doing. Come on, I had this all set up this afternoon. Has on the Saturday at 8 a.m. at the airport. You have to pick it up at the airport. There is a Volkswagen Polo, a car I've never heard of, for $3 a day.
It's amazing.
That can't be right. That just cannot be right. That you could rent a car for $3 a day. But sure enough, you go to the website, easyrentcars.com. Volkswagen Polo Basic Plus is $3 a day. The Super Protection is only $19, and this is a Canadian. $19 a day. A Fiat 500, which would be fun to drive around in, also $3 a day, $14 for Super Protection. I'm always fascinated by the cars we don't get here in North America.
So many of them.
The Renault Clio, the Peugeot 108, the Seat Ibiza. But they're all just cute little runabout cars. The Volkswagen Up. I've never heard of Volkswagen Up, which is a strange name for a car just to begin with. But even that, the Nissan Juke is kind of a small SUV. Even that's $7 a day. Opel Corsa. So if you're in the market for a rental car when you're in Lisbon or anywhere else, they've got a bunch of different options. EasyRentCars.com. Yeah. Check them out if you get a chance. So then what we're going to do is we're going to rent the car first in the morning, 8 a.m. at the airport, and we're going to do a weird little trip. We're going to go straight to, where are we going to go? Oh, to the area of Cabo de Roca, but not go to Cabo de Roca.
There's a big national park.
Big national park. And we're going to go back down around the coastline, the southern coastline of Portugal, and basically do a loop almost back to Lisbon, and then drive up to Nazaré. And Nazaré is that place you've seen pictures of. You've seen any of the stories of these insane waves of Portugal. Most of the time, you are going to be seeing pictures of Nazaré. The world's highest surfing wave was there. Highest surfed wave was there. The wave was 100 feet high. And somebody got on it and surfed it, which meant that person should then be legally committed because you've got to be bat poop crazy to see a wave that's 80 to 100 feet high and go, I can ride that. A wave that you can only get to by jet ski. You can't swim out of these waves because if you tried, the waves would just kill your ass. You'd just be dead. There's no other way around it. Here's a picture of the famous picture of the waves at Nazaré. Just the idea that we're going to go to that lighthouse, and hopefully we're going to get some wave action. I'm not expecting this insanity of a beautiful storm in the North Atlantic pushing the water this particular way. But this is the kind of wave action that people see when they go to Nazaré. And then the other weird thing about it is it's a pretty little beach.
It's the village, and the beach is stunning.
It's this cute little village that has been there for obviously centuries, like a lot of things in Europe, but it's been mostly undiscovered by the vast majority of people. It's only since 2010 that surfers around the world knew about this wave.
Oh, yeah, no, because I would have known about it through my brother. Because the first thing he said was, oh, make sure you go to Nazaré because it's all this big thing. Because Portugal hasn't really been. That's what I'm so excited about. I know it's everyone's going there now and it's very popular, but, it's not a major destination, I don't think. And so there's little beautiful, quaint places like this all around.
So we're going to Nazaré. The plan is to be there around lunchtime. We'll have lunch in Nazaré. And then because sunset is around 6:30, 7 o'clock, weirdly enough, not weirdly enough, but while we have changed the daylight saving time here in North America, most of it, they don't in Europe until the end of March.
That's right.
So it's right. Usually it's an 8-hour time difference between here and there. And when we get there, it'll only be a 7-hour time difference. So I'm not sure how that's going to affect the sunset. Will sunset be at 7 o'clock or 6? I don't know.
Well, we'll just go.
We'll find out from our various maps. So the idea is that we'll then drive and make our way down to Cabo de Roca to get there for sunset. I really want to be on sunset at Cabo de Roca, and then bomb back to the city, back to Lisbon, back to the airport. Because one of the hints we've heard about from folks is if you rent a car, don't rent it overnight and try to park it someplace, because you cannot park like a lot of small towns or small cities in Europe, small towns in particular, there's just no parking. It's very difficult to find parking. So your best bet is to rent the vehicle just for the day, get it early in the morning, drop it off at the airport. And it's fairly easy to get from the airport back down to Lisbon. There is a train that does it. There are buses. Obviously, there's taxis, shuttles that you can get from the airport to the hotel and vice versa. Don't worry about keeping it overnight. Plus, your hotel generally, hotels have started to do this in the last 5-10 years. I noticed more and more. Hotels charge an exorbitant amount of money just for parking. Here in Vancouver, we were at the Holiday Inn, for Christ's sake, over the summer, and they charge $25 a night.
Yeah, well, you find a good deal on a room, and then you pay for
the
parking. It doesn't make any difference. It's crazy.
And I've heard from people online that you're paying anywhere from 25 to 30 euros for overnight parking in Lisbon. So it's just not worth it. Just rent the first thing and then drop it off later on the day. Then on Sunday, more fun. Mm-hmm. I have to keep her entertained at all times.
He really
Otherwise,
does.
She'll go off with another man.
Yeah. Who would be more entertaining than you?
But the thing is, you could find a better looking, richer man like that. So I've got to be more charming than he is better looking.
It's a lot of work. I know.
Not the answer I was looking for.
No, I'm not going anywhere.
Really not the answer I was looking for.
I can't wait to travel with you. Well, without children. And to plan our next adventures. But anyhow, go on. More fun.
What?
The next day, we're having more fun. Go on.
No, you're on your own. Next day you'll be on your own.
Oh, okay.
On Sunday morning, hopefully we're going to get up again nice and early. And then MacMan, oh shit, I have to go through another DST change while in Europe. MacMan, not only do you have to go through another DST change in Europe, you have to go through another one when you come home. Because you'll actually, if you're staying past the 31st of March, you'll go through 4, MacMan. Because you got the one we had just had, then you'll have to go back when we're in Europe, and then if you're staying past the 31st, they switch time, and then you have to come back, so you have 3. You'll have at least 3. Yeah, it's going to suck.
It's not as weird as when you go to Australia and you lose a day and you gain a day, but you get it back on the way back. Or
it's the worst time. Worst time.
Mm-hmm.
So on Sunday morning, this is when we'll meet up with the group on Saturday evening after we get back from Cabo de Roca, and then on Sunday morning, it's voluntary. Hopefully, we're all going to jump on the hop on bus thing, which is something I've always liked doing in a major city.
Mm-hmm.
I've done it in San Francisco, in New York, in London, in Rome, in Paris, because it gives you the hop on bus things are generally about $25-$30 a day, and I always use them like a taxi cab.
Yes.
To get from place to place to place to place.
It's fun.
So my idea, and this is again optional for the folks who are joining us, is just do one full loop of the city on the bus, and then once you get a sense of it, then hop on and hop off. So we'll hop off at the Belém Tower. We'll go to Passeig de Belém and have coffee and custard tarts. Maybe walk over to the monastery, and then we'll just hop on and hop off as we so choose, and end up at the São Jorge Castle lookout, the Miradors, they're called. So that's the plan for Sunday. Sunday evening, we will get back together again with the folks, and then the classes start on Monday. The first Monday class, we're going to be doing the basics of composition. And the idea is we're going to spend about an hour at a local cafe, and we're going to go over what you should look for the basic composition. And then we're going to go walking the streets of Portugal. We're either going to hop on the bus and go back to the monastery or to some other place, the square, or
I want to see the convent. There's the skeleton of an old convent.
Maybe we'll do that day. It's a good idea.
That'll be interesting photographs.
And so you'll spend an hour and a half, 2 hours with me focusing on these basic tips of composition. And then by about noon, 1 o'clock, you're off to go do your own thing.
Mm-hmm.
I know Melissa and I definitely want to, sidebar, Monty says, I want to see Shawn crammed into a Mini Cooper. Actually, a Mini Cooper has got plenty of room. Even the original Mini. My friend Tom in high school, 6'7", he had an original Mini. He fit in it just fine. They're actually very, very surprisingly roomy in a Mini. I've rented them before, and I'm perfectly comfortable in a Mini. So yeah, then you're off to go do whatever. You can hang out with Melissa and I. I know we want to go to the aquarium, which looks really cool.
Mm-hmm.
There is a overhead tram ride that I want to take. There is the Museum of Art and Technology, which is just an incredible looking building in and of itself that I want to go to. The Museum de Azulejos, the beautiful Portuguese tile, has its own museum. There is all kinds of street art that I found addresses for that I want to go to and see if we can't find some of the street art. So we're going to spend a lot of time.
And the markets. I want to go to the market.
On Tuesday, we're going to go to what's called the Thieves Market.
Yeah.
Which sounds like a lot of fun. Tuesday will be the advanced composition class. We'll do that at the Thieves Market first thing on Tuesday morning. It's not as bad as it sounds. It's basically just I think it's more of an upscale flea market. And that's going to be a great place to get pictures of people, of things, of objects, stuff, using the more advanced techniques we'll have learned about first thing in the morning. And again, by noon, 1 o'clock, you're off to go and do whatever it is that you want to do, shopping or museums.
Well, I love what Dave says about spending a day getting lost in the Alfalma district.
Yes, that's definitely going to be something that we're going to want to do.
Yeah, and there's beautiful old stairwells and old doors and windows, and I love old buildings covered in tile, reflecting all the light.
Thursday is going to be street photography day, and that's the day that we can all walk around together through the Alfalma district. Taking your time. It's steep, it's hilly, there's a lot of stairs, but we're not going to be running up and down things. We're going to be for a lot of it. It's going to be finding an interesting location and waiting for things to happen, as opposed to one of the things that we won't have to worry about in the Alfalma is sunshine, because from the video and pictures I've seen, the buildings are so close together, you're not going to get a lot of sunshine directly on you. So that's a good thing. If it's a sunny day, the light won't be as harsh as it would be in other places. So we'll walk around, we'll talk to people, we'll have coffee in places, but we'll walk around doing these street photography tips that you would have looked earlier in the day. The Wednesday is going to be taking the train from Lisbon to Sintra. We can walk to the train station from our hotel, and then $5 gets us a return ticket out to Sintra, which is about 35 minutes away. And then we're going to take a bus, a little city bus, up to the Pena Palace. The Pena Palace is one of the most beautiful little things you'll ever see in your life. It's a gorgeous, I think, 17th or 18th century palace that looks like someplace out of Walt Disney.
Something in Disneyland,
It really does look like a Disneyland kind of fairy tale palace that you've absolutely got to go to when you're in the area of Lisbon. See, here's a picture of it. Block Melissa as I show this picture off to you guys. I've been trying to work this out in my head. Initially the idea was we were going to straighten this
There
out.
is a Moorish castle there.
There's a
Scott.
Moorish castle there, yeah. There's also the problem I had with going to Sintra was hiring a tour guide and a tour van would be 40 to 45 euros per person. And then there is anywhere from 10 to 15 euro entrance fee to all the things we wanted to go see. The Moorish Castle, the Pena Palace, the Montserrat Palace, the Initiation Well, that kind of stuff. So it's going to add up. It would add up to be about 100 euros per person for the day at Sintra. I thought, that's too much. I don't want to spend that much.
Yeah.
And Melissa you're not a fan of this tour guide kind of thing, are you?
I'd love to just be able to wander through it myself and enjoy it, but I'm not. No, I'm not. I'd rather have a more authentic experience. But anyways.
See, I'm the kind of guy that wants to go with the tour guide, and I will be the most annoying person in the world going, what does that corner mean?
What's that cornice up there? It looks a little chipped. What
What-
happened there?
what-
Was that a champagne cork that did that?
I will hang on every single word of a good tour guide.
But
the
it's a crapshoot.
Exactly, it's a crapshoot. When I was in Italy, the tour guide we had for Pompeii was spectacular. I learned so much. The tour guide we had for the original Olympic Games site, awful. I just wandered away from her because she was just not interested.
Yeah, and sometimes you can't hear them, or their accent is very heavy, and you might not like your people in your group.
Yeah. So it's a thing that you've got to think about, and so the idea is on Tuesday we're going to go to Sintra. We're going to wander around Sintra as a group, and then you're on your own. You can again hang out with us. We're going to go. We'll do Sintra, and Montserrat is the other palace I want to go to. With the idea of, as you're wandering around, keeping in mind we want to be back at the Pena Palace for sunset.
Yes.
Because that place
the
is going to
light.
be spectacular
Yeah,
at
it will
sunset.
glow.
It is red and green and blue and yellow, and the inside is beautiful. The outside is beautiful. I've got all these images in my head, swirling around in my head, of these shots I want to take at sunset at the Pena Palace. So we're definitely going to do that. You, as part of the group, if you wanted to go back to Lisbon anytime during the day, you're more than welcome. I think that's one of the advantages of what we're planning here is that you have a lot of freedom yourself to do what you want to do. If you want to go to the Initiation Well, it's a really cool spot. It wasn't a water well, just a circuit. It was just designed that way. If you've seen pictures of the Sintra area, you've seen pictures of this swirly little thing. It's called the Initiation Well. I'll show you a picture of it. It looks kind of cool.
It's very beautiful. Nice photograph. Nice photo opportunity. Blah blah.
Nice. But the problem for me is this is really the only photo you can get of this place.
As far as we know.
Well, no, what I mean is that because the nature of what it is, this is the photo. There's not a whole lot of angles you can get off of this. It's a hole in the ground.
Scott says to fly Dexter down there.
It's right, exactly. It's a hole in the ground. You can only take one picture. Unless you get to the bottom of the hole and shoot up, you're shooting down the hole. So it doesn't... What it is and the walk down there might be kind of interesting, but from a photographic point of view, to me, this is the shot you're always going to get of the
Well, this is the kind of thing that I'm curious about. What did they build it for?
Yes. The reason behind it. Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. But anyway, so that's the plan for Wednesday, and then we'll take the train back to Lisbon. The other aspect of it is food. Lisbon has got a wonderful history of food, a wonderful food culture, not a foodie culture. They're not snobby about it. A lot of seafood, a lot of cod and
sardines.
Sardines is a big thing, and I'm a big Nova Scotian. I love cod, so I'm going to really enjoy that. They have this thing called, I think it's called pasticos, which is kind of like tapas, but not quite. And I love tapas. I love the idea of tapas, of a whole bunch of little tiny dishes. So pasticos is something we'll try. They apparently have this massive sandwich that is just, it's like a sloppy Joe times 1,000. It's got cheese and an egg and ham and blah. I'm so going to eat that. Along with 18,000 pastis de Natal. And it's fairly inexpensive. I was reading one story of a Canadian who said that he'd been there last summer, and meals generally in a perfectly good restaurant were about 10 to 15 euros. So $30 to $35 per person with a glass of wine. Usually they'd say that without the wine, but you're going to have...
But remember that if you get bread at the table and all that they charge you for that. So being from North America where you're used to that coming and it being part of your meal, it's not there.
Keep that in mind. Unlike Olive Garden or your local Mexican food place where they just throw corn chips at you.
Give you a bunch of bread.
A bunch of breadsticks at Olive Garden. They don't do that in Lisbon, in Portugal. What they will do is bring you food as you sit down, but you're going to pay for that food. So if you don't want it, just wave them off. It'll be olives and cheese and bread. It's like,
unless you do want it.
Might be tasty. And it'll be inexpensive.
But you're starting to get charged at that point.
You're going to get charged from them. So keep that. The other aspect of it, and thank God Dave D helped me with this. The electrical outlet. We're never going to have world peace if we figure all this electricity crap. Everyone's got different outlets. Europeans have different outlets from the Brits, from the Australians, from the Japanese, from the North Americans. So as Dave D explained it to me, it's important that you don't get just a travel adapter. A travel adapter only adapts the physical plug to your North American device. So our 3-prong plugs we have in North America, in Lisbon, for example, in Europe, outside of the UK, it's a 2-prong thing. And so your North American plug will not go into the wall in Lisbon. So you need a device that allows you to plug into the Lisbon wall and then plug your North American charging device into that. But unless your electronics can handle it, the voltage coming out of the wall is different than what we have in North America. So you don't want just a travel adapter, you want a travel converter, which converts electricity. And that's where I got in trouble. I bought a travel adapter thinking it would work, but as Dave D thankfully pointed out to me, if I used it, it'd fry my stuff. So what you want is to either buy a travel converter or buy which is what I did, a power strip that will do the converting for you. Because I'm going to have the drone, the camera, the laptop, the iPad, 2 iPhones, God knows what else. Oh, and her hairdryer.
It takes a long time for my hair to dry. I don't want to waste time.
We're going to have all those things plugged in at any different points. I needed a power strip. So my idea is to take the travel adapter, plug that in the wall, and then the power strip, which has a converter inside of it, plug that into the travel adapter, and then I'm going to have a power brick or a power strip with 6 ports in it that will then convert electricity, and I'll be safely able to plug in.
Is that what MacMan got, then Anchor power strip?
No, I don't know what MacMan got. I'm talking about Dave D. Ask Dave D.
No, I know, but Dave D says the power strip doesn't convert. All your stuff is dual voltage. I don't understand. Well, that's okay. You don't have to explain it.
Dave D, if I fry my stuff with that power strip, I had to actually, again, because Canada, we live in a third world freaking country. I had to have my power strip shipped to Dave in Minnesota because that power strip isn't available in Canada. Or the kind of power strip that will do it costs like $75 when it was $25 in the U.S. It's insane.
But with my hairdryer, I just use the adapter.
I don't know. You figure that out.
Well, everybody's telling me that I shouldn't because I'll drop the power in the room out.
All right, you can't dry your hair.
I have to dry my hair.
Don't wash it.
It's unreasonable. Don't be silly.
Maybe the hotel will have a hairdryer for you.
You do need a converter for the hairdryer.
Damn it.
We'll fix this. The hairdryer will need a converter.
I said...
But isn't that what you're doing with the strip?
No, the strip is the plug is an adapter.
Yeah.
I thought the strip was a converter.
So obviously.
Dave D said that's the only thing that needs a converter.
Oh, well, so we're getting a converter. Dave is giving us one. I mean, bringing one.
That? Well, he's bringing us one, but he has a wife with hair, too.
All of it.
Anne isn't bald. She's going to need her own hairdryer.
No, I thought that the strip, never mind. Never mind.
Shoot me in the head.
He's lost the will to live. Who wants to come to Portugal with me?
You have to change your name to Shawn King. And I said to Dave D, if and I actually legitimately mean this, if I had like $100,000, you could set up a business that people would email you or go to a website and say, I've got these electronic devices I want to plug in. And the email would then say, okay, buy this, this, and this, and we'll sell to you for this package deal. For us poor North Americans who are completely confused, I'd be willing to bet there's tens of thousands of dollars worth of broken electronics in hotels all over Europe because people plug shit in when smoke came pouring in, and they were like, fuck it, I ain't taking it back to Canada. I'm just going to leave it here. And the maid's going, what do I do with this? The laptop, it's dead. What do I do with this? Hair dryers all over the place. Just
dead hair dryers.
Dave D. That's Monty, that's a good business idea. You literally could do that. It could just be a website for North American travelers. And I got to assume European travelers coming to America need to figure this stuff out too. But it's just so frustrating for people to not know what the hell
let's
this
do
means.
what Dave is kindly suggesting. Is you send him a list of what we need to plug in. I don't need to leave my hairdryer plug. It doesn't need charging. My hairdryer just needs to go on.
Shouldn't have to take this. Frustrating. So anyway, that's going to be our trip. Oh, and the other thing is too, we will not be doing a show 2 weeks from tonight. A week from tonight is our 25th anniversary show.
And what's that?
I don't freaking know. Ask them.
Never mind.
Ask MacMan.
MacMan, probably that's the one he got.
Scott Thrift. Does any other country apart from America and North Korea use 110 volt? I have no idea.
This is the
Not
one
an
that
electrician.
MacMan got. Yes, it's the one he got.
Monty, Scott, no. Can you believe the rest of the world's wrong? 25th anniversary show is next Wednesday. And then in 2 weeks, we're going to be in Sintra for the Wednesday night shows. We're not doing a show next 2 Wednesdays from now. So I want to just remind you guys of that. You still have time to donate money to buy us beer if you'd like. Shawn, yourmaclifeshow.com.
Yes.
Go to PayPal and you can donate money. A round of beers for the 7 of us will cost, I'll say, $20. So make it 25 with tip.
No. I have my ranting that I'm going to say about people that don't subscribe. How much?
Uh-oh.
No, let's put it this way.
Uh-oh. Settle in, folks.
How much this wonderful, brilliant man dedicates to this show, and I know you guys all know this, but I was very shocked to hear that how very few people contribute. And I'm just going to say it because it's new to me, but he wants to make it better. He has wonderful ideas. He needs better equipment. It's 25 years, and I cannot believe how little payback he gets for it with all the work. And believe me, after his Wednesdays of preparing, he is exhausted after the show. So I think he still, even though he may not act it, he still puts his heart very, very much into it. And I think that people out there that aren't contributing enough to pay for a cup of coffee should maybe, and life gets busy and people don't think, but think about it and just do it. You won't even notice it coming off your credit card. You can do it that way, correct?
Absolutely. You can do it via your credit card, via PayPal. You can donate, subscribe for $2 a month, $5 a month, $10, $7.23, whatever you choose.
It would be so wonderful. And Shawn would, and he would have plans to improve the show and improve his ability to make it better. But he can't. It's part of my rant. I'm going to do more next week. Do we have prizes to give away? Because we didn't give away anything for weeks.
We want to give away.
What do we have to give away?
We have Lonely Planet Guide, our last one to give away, thanks to the very nice folks at lonelyplanet.com for letting us give away guidebooks. And what you can do is you can go to the website at lonelyplanet.com, and it's easy. Just pick one of their guidebooks. You can pick a electronic version of it or a print version, or I think they even offer both, electronic and print version. Love the Lonely Planet guides. You always said you took one to India with you?
I did, yeah.
I took one to Italy when we were on our trip all around Italy. We used that one. I think it's the DK Night ones and the Lonely Planet ones are my two favorite guides. I like the information in the Fodor ones, but the style is too stiff for me, and there's not enough pictures. I like pictures because I can go, oh yeah, I'm standing there, you know?
It's a Waffle House. I'll turn left.
Stop it. So the nice folks at lonelyplanet.com are giving us a guide. You don't have to pick the Portuguese guidebook. You pick a guidebook for any place.
And then go there. Yeah.
And then go there.
For your next trip.
So I'm scrolling up and down. You can say stop whenever you would like. Big
Stop.
ham. Stop. It's still scrolling. Still scrolling.
Oh, stop.
I'm
Stop!
Calm down. Goes out to Jeff W. Schaefer. Jeff Schaefer. Congratulations, Jeff.
Jeff W. Schaefer.
You have won a Lonely Planet guide. Thanks to the nice folks at lonelyplanet.com. Come on. Lonely. To Jeff Schaefer. Thanks, Jeff. And
I hope you subscribe, Jeff, because if you don't, you're bloody better.
You're bloody better, mate.
Okay. Well, you're not getting it. Okay. You're not getting your Lonely Planet guide.
No.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
The contest isn't only for subscribers.
Sorry, Jeff.
Nice folks at Zag have been giving us prizes to give away. Zag is a global leader in accessories and technologies that empower mobile lifestyles. The company has an award-winning product portfolio that includes the screen protections, power management solutions, mobile keyboards, social tech, and personal audio sold under the Visible Shield, Mophie, Zag, Frog, iFrog, and Bravin brand. Technology moves fast, but life moves faster at Zag to create products that keep up with you and make your life truly mobile. This will be going with me to Lisbon. This is the Mophie juice pack for the iPhone X. They make juice packs for all kinds of devices, and this will be a little lifesaver for me. It's not on my phone now because I'm rarely away from this spot, so my iPhone is constantly plugged in. But when I travel, I love having one of these Mophie juice packs in my backpack. I will put it in there, and I won't even have the phone on it. But when I notice that my phone is running low on battery, I just slip it in this. This charges up your phone and allows you a lot more battery life. It doubles your battery life. So if your battery is running out at 1, 2 in the afternoon, you pop this thing on the battery, and you're good to go for the rest of the day. So thanks very much to the nice Zag at zag.com or Mophie at mophie.com. So same thing. You go right ahead and say stop whenever you feel like it, and we'll give some Zag stuff. Oh, no. I click. Now I'm waiting for it to stop. Okay, there we go. It's going to go out to Marek Solinsky. Oh, by the way, my apologies. I should have said this off the top. This is only going to be able to go to U.S. or Canadian winners because of Zag's corporate rules.
Oh, is Marek somewhere else?
Don't know. Marek Solinsky. Sounds like he's somewhere else. Marek, M-A-R-E-K. Marek Solinsky, congratulations. You've won a product.
Scott.
Oh, yeah, Scott. Well, he didn't win, so what are you saying story for?
Because he doesn't, it's not even a minute possibility.
No, it's not. Zero. Well, he could have won the Lonely Planet stuff, so, he could have won. He could have won something. Thanks very much to everyone for participating in our contest. You can join any of our contests. It's simple. It's free. It doesn't cost. You don't have, contrary to what she says, you don't have to subscribe. You can go to the website at Your Mac Life
Yes,
Show.
you do.
No. The website at YourMacLifeShow.com. Right there at the top of the page, it says Friends of YML contest entry form. You fill that contest entry form with a legitimate, valid email address. Please don't use a fake address, because that's how I tell you you've won. And that goes into our prize box once a month. Once a month you have to do that. Just set up a reminder in iCal on the first day of each month to send Shawn an email. If you're a subscriber to Your Mac Life, same website, YourMacLifeShow.com. The left-hand side of the page at the top, you can see that there's a PayPal link there. You can click on that link, and that will take you to PayPal, where you can use your credit card or your PayPal account. And you can subscribe for $2, $5, $10, $15 a month, whatever it is you want. Also a donate button there too if you want to donate $10, beer or whatever it might be. And you have the added advantage of when you subscribe, you don't have to enter the contest. I do it for you. I do all the work. You can't ask for more than that. I do all the work, and for every $2 that you subscribe, you get an extra entry form. So if you're subscribed for, say, $10, you get 6 entry forms. You get the original one, and then you get one for each of the $2, 5, 6 in total. So we really appreciate it if you get more chances to win, and we get more. Also, if you're shopping by Amazon, we'd appreciate it if you came to YourMacLifeShow.com first and click on one of our Amazon links. Even if you don't buy that thing from Amazon, if you buy something else, we get a little bit of a kickback. If you buy that thing that you clicked on, we get more of a kickback. It's all pennies, but it adds up. Did you see that Amazon has got Game of Thrones on Blu-ray, all first 7 seasons for only $90?
Oh.
That's not bad for Blu-ray. That's pretty spectacular. Got a link to that up on the YourMacLifeShow.com website. But I've also got a link to, this is, because of our Portugal trip, I noticed this game. It's called Azul. And it's a game of Portuguese tiles. It's really very, very pretty. I'll show you the link to it here. Go to the website, YourMacLifeShow.com. On the left-hand side, scroll down, and you'll see Azul. And Azul is I want to call it a tile matching game, but it's not really a tile matching game.
You sort of build a beautiful mosaic of tiles on a little wall on the board, and there's all the rules go along with that.
And it's really kind of fun. It was a little finicky rule-wise, only because I didn't study the rules and read them properly, but Melissa and I worked it out, and we played a few games. We actually enjoyed it. And we're thinking about bringing it to Lisbon with us because it was so much fun to play the game.
We just imagined ourselves sitting in a cafe
right.
playing as well.
Exactly. Pretty little tiles, pretty little game board, fun gameplay. It's not aggressive game. There's no battles. There's nothing along those lines. So you don't have to worry. It's a family type game.
It's lovely.
Teach your kids. It was a very nice game. I really enjoyed playing it. So it's called Azul. And again, you can go to YourMacLifeShow.com. On the left-hand side, scroll down, you'll see Azul. If you buy that, we get a little bit of a kickback. So there's all kinds of ways for you to support the show, whether it be through subscription, donation, through Amazon links, things like that. Please do so. That's it for tonight's show. I want to say thanks, as always, to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com for joining us here each and every week. It's part of his parole. But I appreciate him being here regardless. Thanks to you guys in the IRC chat room, or if you're tuned in to the show via the archive, I appreciate you guys being tuned into the archive. As always, send us emails to Shawn at yourmaclifeshow.com. Be happy to answer any emails you guys have. And we got an email from Scott Randall. Sorry, Scott, I got your email late. We'll definitely get to it on next week's show. Until next week, as always, I've been Shawn King.
I'm Melissa King.
And you've been listening to Your Mac Life. See ya!
Bye.